Coming to you live from Fayetteville, Arkansas in the beautiful Appleby Business Center studios. It's time for Northwest Arkansas Business Radio with Adam Robison.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Doing Business Right as part of Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX. My name is Dr. Brian Rea, and I'll be your host today. As an entrepreneur and small business owner here in Northwest Arkansas, I want to help connect our business community together through collaboration and networking. Doing Business Right is a podcast aimed at helping both new and established small business owners, as well as those who may be thinking about entrepreneurship. We do this by sharing our stories and insights from local business people to encourage strong and efficient small business growth. Today, I am super excited to have one of my good friends as our guest today. I have Miss Mollie Watkins with Comprehensive Consulting Solutions for Small Business. How you doing, Mollie?
I am doing awesome, Brian. How are you doing?
I am super excited. This is I know we're nervous. It's all exciting, and that's totally, just keep it authentic and real. And I think that's just, the best thing we can do for all of us. So today we're gonna have a great conversation about Mollie, about what her background, her story, and what she can help here in NWA community. So first, Mollie, let's get right into it. Just tell me about you and your story and what kind of brought you to this business world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for having me today, and Adam for being an awesome, what's your title?
Producer.
Hello. Right. So I'm sorry about that. So we got our great host and our awesome producer, right? And I am just excited to be here. So thank you, Brian, for having me. And so with the question, yes, I'm with Comprehensive Consulting Solutions for Small Businesses. It is the longest business name ever. But it's kind of a joke now, right? So the clients laugh as they respond to the longest email ever, right? But my background is marketing, insurance, sales management, leadership, everything. Yeah. It's kind of inclusive of many areas. So a little bit about me. Grew up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, great.
Not Nashville, Arkansas. I've had a couple people say Nashville, Arkansas. I think there's a couple more people in Nashville, Tennessee. Just a little.
Just a few more.
Just a few. And so, went to, I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was with Allstate Insurance as a sales manager here. And in Nashville, moved me up to Northwest Arkansas. And it was the penultimate market in the region, meaning second to last. And so what I focused on was how do we grow and retain? So a lot of great experience with leading and helping small businesses grow and make lots of money.
Yeah.
Sales is money. Ding, ding, right?
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, 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 ding. We like cash registers, right? So then, I was not a good bureaucrat, Brian. I think you can kind of probably tell that. I don't do well when I have to keep my mouth shut. Bureaucrat wasn't a good bureaucrat. And I was, leaving Allstate and some of the agents said, Mollie, you should start a consulting company.
Oh, there you go.
You've been doing it already? Oh, well, I guess I have, haven't I? And so that's what I did. I literally started the consulting company and still have clients to this day that are with that insurance company. So it was an amazing journey to get here and to have that experience to help more small businesses. And that's kind of when I help folks, that's what we use is that background. And of course, you learn every day, right?
Of course,
oh my gosh, I learn something new every day and I never stop learning. So that's a little bit about, in a long version, my background.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of talk about that moment of when you were starting the consulting business and they present the idea to you and they're like, I just want to talk about it a little bit more. So
yes, sir.
How did that first, couple months and all right, how did you decide this is what I want to do and how your business model? Can you talk me through that a little bit?
That's a great question, Brian. Well, there was a lot of, it was stressful, right? So, you're leaving and actually I got fired, right? So I got fired because of production numbers. So when you're in sales, right, you get a number, you blow it up. Oh, you win trips to Spain and Boston and Jamaica and Bahamas and all these places. And guess what? Over time, your goals get bigger. And so there was no way. There was no way we were going to hit it. I knew what the writing was on the wall. And, to me, it was the best thing that could have ever happened. I know to say I was fired was awesome, right? But it was. So at the time, I was like, oh my God, this is my life. I have lived for this company. I work 90 hours a week.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
I lived and died for that and for my servant leadership, like Adam and I were speaking of earlier. I am a servant leader. And so I was lost. I was like, what do I do? Nobody wants me. I don't have anybody to talk to. I was losing my mind. And the agents were like, Mollie, just do it. Just do it. And I think they were like, Mollie, come do this at our office. And I'm like, you really need that at your, okay. You're just trying to help a sister out. I know. But they were fantastic. And I could not have done it without their support. And I mean, they were just amazing. And so they utilized me for some recruiting and some marketing tasks. And then they're like, Mollie, you got to do this. So insurance agents went all the way to, CPAs and attorneys and doctors and contractors and movers and you name it. So, and now I've went on a tangent. I forgot the question.
No.
I got old, Brian. I got to write this shit down. All right. What was the question? Sorry.
No, that's great. No, I wanted to explore kind of that beginning, that story, that kind of
I'm sorry.
That
yes,
moment
sir.
of like, starting that business. And you were kind of talking about that.
And I got sidetracked. Deer, right? Being squirrel, right? I'm everywhere.
So they said, all right, you got to do this. And you're like, okay,
yes, sir.
I'm going to do it. So what did you do?
So they did like do it. And I'm like, okay. So I went and started the company and picked the longest business name ever.
Okay, good.
And decided that I wanted the longest domain ever in the history of domains so that I could be flagged as spam for the next 2 years. So that's what happened. So, and when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. Even though I knew what I was doing, right? I didn't know what I was doing because it wasn't for a company anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was for me. So I lived off savings, right? I had a great corporate career where I had made money and done well. So I saved and just started literally working with those insurance clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I started the business and just started trying to figure out processes. Then I said, oh, you know what? I got a lot of time on my hands. Why don't we write some stuff for the website, right? And so that's what we did. So I wrote a lot of articles and content.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that was Debbie Downer, right? But then at the prior company I was with, did a ton of layoffs. So it was like kind of like the universe was like, hey, this is with the writing on the wall. So, sometimes we think, there's a Garth Brooks song, Unanswered Prayers, right?
Mm.
Sometimes we think things are supposed to happen, but we're thankful they didn't. Because if I would have still been there, I would have been laid off, right? So instead, I just got happily fired and started an exceptional business. So, I mean, everything happens for a reason. And I think sometimes we feel that the world's ending around us, but it's actually just beginning.
No, I think that's an incredible story. And I want our listeners to hear that is that, you don't know what your path is going to be. You don't know what the journey is ahead of you. And I think that sometimes when you're young, you're thinking, all right, I got my college degree. This is what's going to be like for the next 30, 40 years. I got my first company and with a job. And maybe 50 years ago, that was maybe like the life career
Mm-hmm.
model. But I think now it has evolved. And I think it's okay to try new things and take those kind of risks. And I think that's just an incredible, inspiring story that, I really wanted people to hear and share that story with others. So so my first question kind of based off that is, so let's kind of just talk about you talk about those early processes and those initial things. And now that you've been doing this a while, and you've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners, let's talk about like just some 3 tips and advice, that maybe you took from that journey of your own, or maybe that you've seen from other entrepreneurs and business owners as they start their own new businesses in that time.
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. So 3 tips. I would say number 1, let's talk about the things that I've learned, not only in my business consulting, but as well in my corporate career, right? We've got, there are a lot of things I think that people think about owning a business that are false. Right. And I think that sometimes they have these expectations. Cognitive bias plays a role in that with our perceptions and our experiences.
Yep.
But for the 3 tips, these are the 3 things that I have found for my most successful entrepreneurs. This goes through my entire career. And it's not rocket science, right? Everybody's like, oh, it's this. No. Positive attitude.
There you go. Number 1.
You got to know you can. My favorite quote, Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Positive, you've got to have that attitude because if you think you can't, you won't. Second is you've got to execute. If you do not execute on the plan, there's not little fairies that come and execute for you unless you're paying someone, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not paying someone and you want to execute, you've got to actually execute, right? And third is cash flow. If you don't have the money to run the business, you're going to be stressed about money, right? You can't really focus on what you need to when you don't have the cash flow in the background. So I start with that because those are the things that I've seen. It's not the smartest. It's not the most emotionally intelligent. It's not the most educated, right? It is the person that does what they need to. And you had mentioned, kind of earning it, right? And there's a lot of activities that lead to that success. So my 3 tips would be all in that first part, the attitude, the execution, and the cash flow. Other tips would be, you got to get out of your bubble.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Most of us are in our own head. There is a great book, and Adam's probably going to laugh at me because he was hating because he didn't know the book title. Guess what? I don't either. It's the Art of Conscious Conversations, and I think it's Chuck something. He's fantastic. Looks like a nice guy, okay? But he talks about the committee and the committee in our head. And I've, as a person that struggles with anxiety, I've always had that in my head, right? You can't, you won't, you can't do this. And you've got to tell the committee to go to hell. Because the committee is Debbie Downer, okay? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. So sometimes we've got to get out of our own head to be successful. I've seen that so many times in past 20-year career of people that their head told them they couldn't and they didn't. So that would be kind of the 2 tips. And the last one would be, I would say, just in general for businesses, is we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? I mean, I have a lot of things, but I don't know if you got my text, directions and maps. I am a lost puppy. I was literally sitting in the cul-de-sac, like, I don't know where to go. I can't read the map. So that's not one of my strengths, right? But we've got to know our strengths and our weaknesses, and we've got to capitalize on what we do best and hire what we don't. One thing is, an entrepreneur says, oh, well, I have to hire it. That's something wrong with me. No. You are a pro at what you do. You are not a jack of all trades. You hire someone to come in and help you with that strength that you're missing.
Correct. Yes.
So those would kind of be, I know that was a long-winded answer. No, those are my answers. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. One more thing about kind of execution. I thought that was really interesting. You talked about like you have to actually execute. Yes. And I think with a newer entrepreneur, small business owner, they're like, okay, they have the heart. Their heart is totally there, right? And they even have some money. And they have the questions like, okay, what do I need to do? And then they just start doing things,
right, and get distracted.
And they're motivated, but they want to execute, but they're not sure what to execute. Right? Like what would be a good thing for, what questions should they ask themselves to like, what should I execute first?
It's a fantastic question, Brian. Got to put my thinking cap on real quick, right? Love it. So that would be a great question. So I think with entrepreneurs, shiny objects, many entrepreneurs have ADD, right? And squirrel, like me earlier. We get distracted by things that we think are going to take on our money. So, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this. You've got to focus on priorities, okay? Because we get wrapped up in time-wasting activities. Think about opportunity cost. So am I focused on things that will make me money, or am I paying someone because it'll cost me too much and what I would lose, right? In terms of that's a hard question because every entrepreneur is different. Yeah. And I try to focus them on, here are our priorities. If we focus on our priorities, all the little shiny things don't matter. So it's one of those things where, okay, I know you have this great idea where we're going to add 75 different new cupcakes, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But right now we've got this promotion come up. We had talked about this plan. Let's focus. And that'll be our next round of change, right? Yeah. So it's really focusing them on what makes them money because there are too many distractions in our world.
Correct. Yeah, I think there's a lot of distractions out there, and there's only so much time. And I think that's a great piece of advice. Like, focus. What is the priority? What's the focus right now, and put your energy towards that. And that could be different for anybody, depending on what their strengths and weaknesses is. And it's not a single answer. Focus on this first. It's a more of like, look at the whole thing and prioritize what is important at that moment in time.
And I've got a great book for you, another one, 12-Week Year. Brian Moran. 12-week year is about it's something I used in corporate America. It's actually one of the things that was actually beneficial. Some are not, right? Some are wonderful. This was wonderful. And the 12-week year actually shows you how to prioritize and put everything in a 12-week period, pretending like it's the end of the year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So executing our priorities as we get wrapped up, right? Like we were talking about. And the 12-week year I use time blocking. So I learned that in corporate America. Everything I do is on my calendar and when I'm going to do it. Priorities cannot be moved, right? If it's one of those that can wait till tomorrow, that's not a big deal. Some admin and catch up, no big deal. But this is priority. Even though you don't want to do it, you got to suck it up like a buttercup, right? And do it. And I think that's part of life, though.
You're
with
right.
anything.
Yeah, with anything in life, business, personal, doesn't matter. I think it's great advice just for what we do.
Yes, sir.
So now, moving on. So that business owner has now gotten through that initial stage, right? They've been in business for 3-5 years. They have revenue. They have clients. Yay, money. Exactly. They're excited. They're like, okay, I did it. I'm a business owner. Right. But now they're thinking like, okay, well, now what? Like, what do I grow? How do I grow? Should I grow? And we talked about some initial tips for that new entrepreneur. What about this entrepreneur or business owner who's been around a little bit longer and who's ready for some growth? What are some tips you would give them?
I mean, I would say it's that don't have processes, right? That don't know how to market their products. So sometimes we get lucky, right? And sometimes we just wing it and we get there. But then when they get to that level where they're like, I need to take it to the next level, that's where I think you're kind of getting to. Like, they're like, okay, how do I go do more? That is going to be a great question and very dependent on the business, right? I can't do a generic answer because every business owner, as we know, is different. Sorry, I get away from the mic. I'm getting a dirty look. I'm in trouble.
Don't make me go producer on you.
Yes, gotta get producer. I'm gonna have to run, y'all. I'm just kidding. So I think with the more tenured businesses, again, to get out of their head. We all get in our head. That is one of the hardest things, I think, is what I success. Let me give you an example. I'm an old sales manager. If you don't follow up, you're not going to get there. And it may take you, there's a game, you got to follow up more than 3 times, but salespeople, people that follow up more than 3 times is 10%. Okay. So we've got opportunity, right? And so with those more tenured, I would say, sometimes just because it's work doesn't mean it's going to sustain. And if we're not doing a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to determine what is going to impact our business now and later, then we can't try to plan. Some things are unplannable. COVID, I mean, who would have known? But some things we can, right? Like we can kind of be like, oh, what's that going on with pricing? Or what's this with the competition coming in?
Exactly.
There is things that we can notice, and we need to stay and make sure that we know what's going on with not only us, but our competitors. So we're constantly researching and talking and thinking, I don't know everything because consumer tastes change.
You're right.
Think about now let me think about 20 years ago. Okay. I was paging people and we were turning that guy upside down with text messages. Okay. Different world.
It was totally different world.
Now look, Google reaches 92% of internet users. This is wild, right? This is a whole new world. I remember pre-Google. Brian, you remember it?
I never pre-Google. I remember hearing that. Go to this website called Google. And I was like, what is type in Google. And I was like,
what the hell?
What the heck? I remember that. I remember that.
And then on your dial-up, it goes, and you got to wait 75 minutes, and then you're on the internet. Oh my God, y'all. I Googled for like 45 days. I got 115 on all my papers. I was in college. I thought I was Billy Badass. I'm like, look at this, all the skill information. And the professors are like, whoa, dude, like you got to chill.
I just can't imagine them telling you that.
No, right? Absolutely not. Yes, right? Never. But, I mean, I think like with things change so much. Those 3 tips for the business owners are going to be similar. And I think you have to reassess harder because you are in business and you've gotten used to that paycheck and that income, right? But I think it's looking at ourselves from a different perspective. And that is very hard for some people.
Very hard. Especially when you've been established and you feel very comfortable, as you said.
Yes, sir.
And I think, you said stepping outside that box, all right, reassess those strengths and your weaknesses in yourself. All right, where can I let go of some things? Where do I need to maybe focus on, or some aspects of your business that were like, well, I haven't dealt with that for years. Maybe I really should think about marketing.
Yes.
Or
please,
or whatever it may be. There might be an aspect, or maybe their bookkeeping, or maybe right, or maybe
like that plug. Yes. Yes.
Subtle.
Subtle but effective.
Right.
Very nice.
But those are the type of things that those established business owners should always be kind of thinking about.
Yes.
So you've gave some great advice on for your newer entrepreneur business owner, and your more tenured ones. So, and you kind of talked and kind of flashed about your business. Can you tell me more about what your business does and for small businesses here in Northwest Arkansas?
Absolutely, Brian. Besides having the longest business name ever, a lot, right? So thank you for that question. So we're business consultants. So what we do is we help small businesses with their small business puzzle. That can be from increasing growth or operational efficiencies. What does that really mean, though, Molly? Right? That's some fancy words and stuff. What that really means is we can help you do things that you have not been able to do. That's really what it boils down to. If you want to grow your business, if you want to find staff, and don't tell me you can't find any because you're not doing it right. So there are things that we can do with the marketing, with the recruiting, with processes, with business planning. And Brian, as you know, we can teach you how to do it. Or we can do it on your behalf. We're not some secret, oh my gosh, the marketing is totally secret and we're never going to tell you how to do it, right? Y'all, it's bots. Robots rule our world, right? For bots, don't make assumptions. They don't understand context, right? So in our world, it's different than it was 20 years ago where it didn't matter. Now it matters. So with us, we like to look at what they are doing and start with the bottom, low-lying fruit, foundational work. Because if we don't have a strong foundation, the bots and all these other things, we could be here for 75 days, right, Brian, talking about this, but everything works better together, right? Our marketing buckets work better together. And so what we do is we're either training people how to plan and execute their marketing to be effective to their target market. We do that with research. That's a lot of missing that we see with other folks that do what we do, is they don't research. How are you going to tell a brand how to market when you don't understand the brand?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't get it. Right. And they're just, here's our thing too, is vanity likes, we're in a world of Instagram, right? We are in a world of Snapchat where all these filters and fakeness, and I'm just with it. Right. And nothing wrong with self-love, but let's not look like we're plastic. Right. And that's kind of the new world that we're coming into.
Right.
And it's a little freaky sometimes. Right. And so how do these folks kind of figure out how to get in that world, right? And so that's what we're there for. Not just the small things, but the big things. And we're different because, Brian, as you know, I can tell you about overall strategy. Let's whip up a business plan. You want to do a strategic plan? We can talk overall goals. But what makes you money is those tactics, right? How do we achieve those goals? What do we need to do every day or every week or every month on purpose? That's where we come in.
That's awesome.
I know that was a long-winded answer.
No, that's incredible. Well, I think when people think about business consultants, it's a very broad term. Sir. Like, what do you do? I consult businesses. That's a business consultant.
I'm a business consultant, right? Yes. I totally
but I think sometimes just kind of hearing like, well, there's actually breaking it down a little bit and like with the research and really thinking about strategies and tactics and really, sharing that information and helping those business owners be successful. Identifying those, hey, this is a great strong area, but there's a little maybe weakness. How can we get this to work efficiently, work together? You're talking about marketing buckets. You're doing this, you're doing this. How can you get them to all work together and complement each other to maximize their efficiency, therefore maximize your revenue, profits, and all that great stuff that all business people love to talk about. And I think that's just incredible that, that you have a company like that here in Northwest Arkansas. And Mollie's right here that you can come talk to her and get with her team and really break down how they can help you be successful. I just think that's incredible. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring you here on this show to share your story. So speaking about show, I know we mentioned Adam and he's popped in here a couple times and Mollie's super excited about meeting Adam.
Excited.
But I do want to give a special shout out to Adam. And what he's doing here at Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX. And he is always looking for people and businesses to partner with to develop the NWA business community. Do you want to share your insights about your industry? Have you ever thought about reaching customers and clients in a different medium? Or you just want to host a podcast and be cool like this?
Yes, be cool like we are. Yes,
right?
Like you are.
Well,
I'm just
chilling. I always knew I would be cool if people just gave me a chance, right?
Absolutely.
Be cool.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, you can contact Adam by going to his website, businessradiox.com/NWA, NW Arkansas, or follow him, NW Business Radio X, Northwest Arkansas. Right, Adam? Is that right?
That's pretty close. Okay. Yes, it's pretty close.
That was close.
BusinessRadioX.com
yes.
/ NW Arkansas, or you can follow our socials, Northwest Arkansas Business Radio.
Got it. I know. All these long names.
I know. That's what I'm talking about. My people.
I may be competing for you that longest URL. I'm just telling you.
I don't think so. I think you're about 20 characters too short.
I think she's the champion of it. I think she really is.
Yes, right? The champion. That was awesome. Where's that been? Our podcast. I didn't know we had that ability.
I just found the button. It's so much fun.
That's fantastic.
You want another one? Here we go. Watch. Look at there.
Okay, what is that even?
That's applause.
Oh, shoot, I got those waves.
Anyway, all right, Mollie, it's just been a pleasure kind of talking about you. And I just want to I want to come back to you here real quick as we kind of about to wrap up. What were just some final thoughts that you would like just to kind of share with our community about anything? This is Mollie Watkins' moment. And she's like, oh my goodness.
How long do we have? I need to know.
You just got a minute. You got it in a minute or two.
Right,
but I just something that you would love to share, or just something you're excited about, or maybe you have like a new promotion or whatever you want to just talk about.
Yeah,
just some final thought from Miss Mollie Watkins.
Let me think. Right, that's a great question. Well, thank y'all again for having me today. That would be a big thing. I really appreciate it. It was so much fun. So the final thoughts would be, oh man, I think one of our big things is values. And so we are all about businesses. We are all about growing and helping them retain and efficiencies and blah, blah, blah. But we also give and we also volunteer. So you've got we do some programs with E4All, also with the Hired program, which is a school, and then the Fayetteville Public Library. And we do have artificial intelligence training session that will come up at the library in July. Right. So I'll be teaching that session at the library. So I know that's coming up, and I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff that my awesome team will probably yell at me when I leave, but it's fine. It's fine.
Well, in the case that you did forget something, where can they find you out in the web, and so they can find more information about what you're doing? How can they find you?
Yes, well, longest business name ever. Okay, Google Comprehensive Consulting Solutions, Fayetteville, and we'll come right up. Or you can go, if you're real serious and you got some time, type in the full one. Now, I did shorten the domain. In businesses, it's business. So there you go, 2 letters. Comprehensive Consulting Solutions for smallbusiness.com. We're all over the web, Facebook, social, you name it. And check out our blog. We've got some really great content touching on a lot of free things for entrepreneurs to help them in their path and their journey.
No, that's awesome. So there you have it, everybody. Find Mollie, get in contact with her and her team, see what she's going. She produces great content, content tips for businesses, sharing information about events happening in NWA. She is great. It's awesome. Anyway, I just want to say thank you for listening to Doing Business Right today. I hope you're able to take some insights and some laughs and just having a good time about just business practices and talking about how to develop and grow your business in a good way. If you want to learn more about business practices, you can go to my website, dbrbookkeeping.com, and you can like and follow me on Facebook as well at DBR Bookkeeping. If you want to sponsor a podcast or get some advertising for your business, please reach out to me as well. I would be happy to work and help promote your business. This podcast is produced and shared throughout the business community and is a great way to connect with Northwest Arkansas. This is your host, Dr. Brian Rea, and I wish to all entrepreneurs and small business owners the best of success by doing business right.